I don't like it. I'm out. That draws attention away from Sam because now you get teams that he could go to, the Eagles, the Broncos, all these other teams that he could go in and compete right now. The 49ers, they're all thinking, well, shoot, if we could get Deshaun Watson, if we could get Dak Prescott, if we could get Russell Wilson's available. See, this is all tough for Sam. This puts him in a very difficult spot. I'm good.
I agree with literally 100% of the things that you just said. And I think this is not an unfair statement to make, Louis Riddick, that Sam Darnold has been in a situation the last 3 years. I have no idea how good he might actually be, that practically no quarterback could have succeeded in, right? He has had no chance. So I do not think any evaluation of him at this stage, Louis, is anything other than premature. They're going to do all the work they can on it with the Jets, but that is the way I think the only reasonable way to view him right now, Louis Riddick.
And Greeny, you know what? We all know this. We all know that if we are going to truly take an intelligent look at football, and in particular quarterback play, we know as much as we want to make it just about them and attach quarterback wins to quarterbacks and put all of it on them as far as heaping the praise and putting all of it on them as far as giving them the blame, we know it doesn't really work that way. And we know in the case of Sam Darnold, there's a reason why they lost all the football games that they lost, and it wasn't simply because Sam Darnold isn't good enough. Sam Darnold isn't tough enough. Sam Darnold isn't, able to handle the pressure of the New York market, blah, 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 blah. It was abysmal around him, and they know it. We know it. The people who played with him know it. The people who played against him know it. But the fact of the matter is this: when we get to this time of year, and when we really start looking at how teams assign blame and really take credit as far as for success, we know that a lot of it, the quarter gets dumped on the quarterback, and Sam's getting dumped on here. And I agree. He may need to move on, but that doesn't mean necessarily that's the right thing to do.
And so, Graziano, quickly, from the people you talk to around the league, what is the expectation? Because all of eyes will be on number two. Is the expectation at this stage of their evaluation, what is it?
I think that most people you talk to on the outside are expecting the Jets to move on and take a quarterback at 2 and try and trade Sam Darnold. I know, listening to Todd McShay, obviously he knows as well, the Jets haven't quite gotten to the point where they've made that decision yet, so the outside speculation is just that. But a lot of it will come down to what they can get in return for Sam Darnold, what they could get in return for the number 2 pick. How far back would you have to go? Are you only going back to 4 with the Falcons? Are you going back to 8 with the Panthers? That can determine which way you go because, as Todd pointed out, it is all about value, and that's where the Jets are right now, asking themselves those questions.
All right, we're just getting this hour rolling with all kinds of football conversation on the way. It's not exactly a slam dunk. Wait until you hear just how risky it is to draft any quarterback in the first round. That's on the way. This is Get Up on ESPN.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. And I bet it can be hard work. You know it's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
We're back on Get Up, and that is Sneaky Hembo, and he's coming for Graziano today. Here's the question. Which Hall of Fame quarterback owns the record for most touchdown passes in his final NFL season? That's the question. We'll see if Graziano can get that one right. He is as good at this as anyone is at anything. And as we continue, coming up, who will blink first in Houston? Are the Texans already making an enormous mistake? That's on the way. You're watching Get Up on ESPN. We really look forward to this every single day when Hembo goes up against Graziano. Dan, which Hall of Fame quarterback has the record for most touchdown passes in his final season?
Green, it's been a tough morning for me. I'm distracted by questions of my own, like, are Sanchez and Tannenbaum going to fight? Do you even know what a McRib is? Is that electronic football game behind Louis Riddick in operational order, and can I come over and play with it? So I really don't know. I haven't had time to think about this. Just going to guess. Staubach, I think, was still playing well at the end. Is it Roger Staubach?
Oh, my God! Oh, my God! He got got it right. He just threw a name out and he got it right. I cannot believe
I don't know
this.
What's going on? This is an all-time. Oh no, I know this is an all-time streak. I don't know what's going on.
Hembo and I talked about it during the break that there was no way in the world he was going to get it. It's Roger Staubach.
It was Marino last week. It couldn't be him again. I don't know. Staubach, always a good guess.
Staubach is first. Kurt Warner, by the way, is second. That is unbelievable.
I wouldn't have got that.
All right. Graziano, let's run the hurry up here. With the latest on a bunch of quarterbacks, let's begin with Big Ben.
Big Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers agreed to a new contract for 2021. He is taking $5 million less this year than he was scheduled to, from $19 million down to $14 million. Will save them about $15 million on their salary cap this year. They'll carry a $10 million dead money charge for him next year, but obviously they're not worried about that. They wanted Ben back. He wanted to be back. He's back. Now they have other work to do. The Cowboys and Dak Prescott still have work to do on a contract extension, which both sides still want. There have been conversations between the sides recently as this week. Tuesday is the deadline for teams to apply the franchise tag. Cowboys will do that again if there's no long-term deal in place. And for the second year in a row, it will be the exclusive version of the franchise tag, which means no other team can make Dak Prescott an offer. Teams are trying to make the Houston Texans offers for Deshaun Watson, but the Texans still aren't listening. Watson has made it clear that he does not want to play for the Houston Texans ever again. The Houston Texans are trying to make it clear that they have no intention of trading him. I've been told by sources this week that the Texans are comfortable with letting Watson sit out the season if that's really what he wants to do. Obviously, a lot of tough talk from both sides. We'll see how this situation plays out in the coming weeks and months.
Yes, absolutely. And I wanted to actually stop down on that here for a moment because, Mark Sanchez, we've not had you on the show for a long time while this whole thing has been brewing. And you mentioned it just a few minutes ago in the context of a different conversation, that a guy like Deshaun Watson is driving so many other teams' quarterback decisions. But right now the Texans are saying they're not willing to trade him. What is your perspective on how this thing is playing out and what should happen from here?
Well, I think this thing's going to be a mess going into September. I would not be shocked if that's the case, if this is a situation like we saw with Carson Palmer and the Cincinnati Bengals, and both teams just saying, hey, whoever wants to flinch first, go for it, both sides, really. But the only thing that's a draw for Deshaun Watson in Texas right now is that there's no state income tax and he's getting paid a lot of money. Other than that, I wouldn't want to go play quarterback there. I don't know if there's anything attractive about that place. You give up DeAndre Hopkins last year in free agency. Nobody knows if Will Fuller's coming back. What other weapons do you have offensively? You just lost J.J. Watt. What's attractive about that place? Even if they get to a place where both sides say, hey, let's talk about it, what can you possibly offer this kid that makes him want to go there? Their roster's looking more and more like the New York Jets.
Yeah, it's a terrible situation, and yet the on-the-field piece of it feels like that's just a small part of the puzzle, right, Lewis? There is more going on here for Deshaun Watson than just this is a bad team right now. But you made an interesting point earlier, Lewis, and I'd like you to get to it, because Graziano just said the Texans are dug in and they're willing to let him sit out the season if that's what's going to happen. And I asked in the meeting, and I'll ask it to you, what exact purpose does that serve?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's the question that I have. Because right now you're just cutting off your nose to spite your face, and you want to send him a message, and you want to make sure that, you don't establish this precedent that anytime a player is disgruntled about the way we do business here, that they can just come into the front office and say, I want to get out of here. Well, this isn't just a one-off type of situation. Every significant individual that has laced them up for that franchise leaves there and doesn't have very flattering things to say about how they handle business. Every significant one. I mean, you've already saw what Andre Johnson has said. We know how DeAndre Hopkins left there. Now we're seeing Deshaun Watson. JJ asked to be released so he can go somewhere, and he said, look, to compete for championships. And we know what the rumblings are underneath as far as how disappointed they are as far as how they conduct business. So you would think that Houston would look internally and look inside themselves and go, what are we doing wrong here to make all these guys talk badly about us? But no, let's just send Deshaun a message, make him sit out all year, not recoup anything for him. Maybe go 3-13 this time, or maybe 2-14 instead of 4-12. But we will have sent him a message. That's just ridiculous, and I don't understand what the point is. I guess maybe some teams just aren't incentivized enough really to win.
There's another side.
And that's a problem.
Right. And there's another side to that, too, Mark, as a player who played recently. That message is also being sent to every other player around the National Football League, right? They're all seeing this thing play out. And I have to believe the Texans, who will probably already have a very difficult time convincing anyone to come play for them, if this Deshaun Watson, the longer this thing stays hanging over them, I have to believe players talk to each other. They're going to have a tough time getting anybody to want to come there, Mark.
Oh, I guarantee the word around the league is, hey, man, don't go near Houston. I mean, avoid that place, at all costs, unless it's your last deal and you're trying to get your last contract and take care of your family and secure something financially. Don't go there. That's not the place you want to be.
Yeah, that point was just made the other day by someone I forget. Oh, it was Cam Jordan who was on here the other day saying, for a while, Dan Graziano, that people viewed the Cleveland Browns that way. That's a team you just didn't want any part of. Clearly, to their everlasting credit, they have changed that perspective. Does it feel to you, as we work our way towards free agency in just a few days, that the Houston Texans are that kind of team right now?
Sure. Obviously, there's been a lot of bad publicity around that team going back to the DeAndre Hopkins trade and prior to that. Plus, a lot of free agents don't want to go somewhere if they don't know who the quarterback's going to be. So that's a factor as well if they don't have the Deshaun Watson situation ironed out by then. Absolutely, it will be a factor in people's decision making.
All right, much more football as we go. Todd McShay is going to rejoin us in just a few minutes and back to the draft. But tomorrow is fight night, and it will be must-see TV. 3 championships on the line at UFC 259 in Las Vegas. The card headlined by a super fight between light heavyweight champion Jan Blachowicz and middleweight champ Israel Adesanya, with Blachowicz' title on the line. And a reminder that DraftKings is the official daily fantasy sports partner of UFC, and this Saturday, new players can play free for over $100,000 in prizes when you make your deposit. Download the DraftKings app, sign up with the promo code OCTAGON for your chance at $100,000 in prizes only on DraftKings. And let us now bring in our very own Daniel Cormier, who is ready for the night. Daniel, great to see you. You are one of only 4 athletes to hold 2 titles at the same time. From your experience, what will be Adesanya's biggest challenge in trying to do that tomorrow?
Well, for Izzy, it's about him fighting his fight, but also dealing with the extra weight. Greeny, Izzy's going to weigh in at 193 pounds this morning. The weight is 205. Jan Blachowicz is going to go into the octagon over 220. So it's going to be a little bit of a difference for him in MMA, but in his kickboxing career, he fought all the way up at heavyweight. So this is a young man that understands managing the weight differences, but Jan Blachowicz is a big, powerful guy that has every intention on not allowing Izzy to join that club of double champions.
Now, that is just one of several huge fights tomorrow night. Amanda Nunes is a huge favorite in the co-main event. If you were coaching her opponent, Megan Anderson, what would you tell her is the best approach to try and pull off what would be a substantial upset?
I mean, this would be the biggest upset in UFC history. There has never been anything like this. Amanda goes into fights every time minus 1,000, as she is against Megan Anderson this time. Megan Anderson is a big girl. She's a massive girl for the weight class, a true 145-pound fighter. She needs to go forward, try to put Amanda on her back. The only areas that we've seen Amanda Nunes struggle, and that was a long time ago, was when she's taken down and fatigue sets in. But this is the greatest female fighter of all time, and she deserves to be viewed in the light that she is. This is a big ask for Megan Anderson. She has worked her way into a title fight, but the mountain to climb against Amanda Nunes is one that is so formidable that no one has been able to even really challenge her as of late.
All right, so we will see what happens there. And then one more thing I wanted to ask you while I have you. Anyone who knows you are a huge fan of the New Orleans Saints. So what are your thoughts on the possibility of Russell Wilson coming to New Orleans?
Wait, listen, man, when I saw him list the Saints, because we deal with, me as a fan, I dealt with Harden wanting out of Houston, Drew Brees retiring. I was like, we never get any love. But then I saw Wilson put the Saints on the short list, and I just got on my knees and said a prayer like, come on, please, man. If we can roll from Drew Brees into Russell Wilson, we got a chance because the team is made. The team is ready to win right now. You add a piece like that, and we go win the Super Bowl. I'm just excited. I hope it works. The mayor's begging. Everybody in New Orleans, we're sitting on pins and needles, hoping that Russ, let me tell you something, man. Down on Bourbon Street, the food's fantastic. We can help you. It's going to be a great fit if you come down to the Bayou. It's a beautiful place to live.
That's an outstanding sales pitch. Daniel, great to see you. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Huge night for all of us here at ESPN. We got the fights. UFC 250.